G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here with another Baldur's Gate tutorial video. Today we're going to do a basic rogue build guide, a basic rogue character creation guide. So we want to build a rogue in Baldur's Gate 3. So rogues with stealth, skill and uncanny reflexes, a rogue's versatility lets them get the upper hand in almost any situation. As a rogue, you're going to want to be not in the front line of combat, but be ready to dash forward and attack when you see the opportunity. I would recommend you start with a short sword or a dagger and a short bow. Be prepared to pull out that bow and do some damage from a distance. You get sneak attack, melee and sneak attack ranged. Use them whenever you can. And also consider hiding whenever you can. Even in the middle of combat, try the hide option every chance you get, because that helps you with your sneak attacks. You start with 8 hit points per level. But in this case, we have a constitution of 13, giving us an extra one for 9. We'll see that change a little bit as we go on. Dexterity saving throw proficiency will be very useful for you in a lot of situations in the game where you might be, slipping or falling or having to climb a rope or whatever the situation calls for. You're going to be the person who is dexterous enough to get that done and get past that obstacle. You have intelligence saving throws as well. Light armor is the only armor that you can wear, so if you find anything better, just pass it over to the fighter or pass it over to the fighter, the ranger, the cleric, whoever, but you're not going to be able to use anything but light armor. You can use simple weapons as well as hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. You can dual wield. I have yet to been able to dual wield with, say, a rapier and a dagger. It doesn't seem to want to let you, but if you have 2 daggers or 2 short swords, that definitely works. Don't bother dual wielding with much else than that early on. So yeah, let's now look at the races that are going to work well with a rogue. Now, we can see here from the little star that dexterity is the primary attribute of the rogue. So, what races work well with that? Surprisingly, there is a lot of races in this game that have dexterity bonuses. Both sub-races of half-elf, drow elves, humans because they get a +1, half elves you can put a +1 into your dexterity, and halflings get a +2. So elf, drow, elf, drow, and halfling are all the best rogue options. And in fact, the lucky ability and natural stealthy of the Lightfoot halfling makes them the best, in my opinion, rogue in the game. But be aware that your movement speed is limited to 7.5 meters per turn. So that's a little bit slower than most. If you want no disadvantages from that, then take the elf or the drow options. Out of the elves, the wood elf is probably better because A, their movement speed is even faster at 10.5 meters compared to 9 for the rest of them. But also you've got dark vision, so you can see in the dark, as all elves do. But the Mask of the Wild gives you a better stealth proficiency. So that is comparable to what you'll get as the halfling, but you won't have any disadvantage to your movement speed. In fact, you've got an advantage over everybody else. I'm going to stick with the halfling for the rest of this build, but that's that. So after I pick class and race, we'll next pick an origin that will work for you. Now, there actually are several origins that to me scream rogue, right? The first one being charlatan, because you get advantages to sleight of hand, which is used for picking locks and things like that, and deception, which is just generally useful for a rogue. Criminal, of course, deception and stealth. So that is another good option. You could go entertainer, but that always seems to be more of a bard thing for me. Noble, yeah, playing a noble rogue is not such a bad thing, because remember, this is a rogue. Don't always automatically think thief. Think, you know, the roguish nobleman, that sort of thing, the idle nobleman who does things that he shouldn't be doing, the black sheep of the family type thing. But there's actually nothing here that's going to help you, except for your persuasion maybe, will help you as the primary character in the game. It won't help you with any of your rogue abilities, though. And Urchin is the other one, which has sleight of hand and stealth. Urchin is basically the ultimate rogue, because you've got stealth and you've got sleight of hand, which does lockpicking and the such. So I would be picking that as this option, but as I said, there's a couple of others in there that will work well. So if we pick our abilities, then there's really nothing here that I have a problem with as far as abilities go. The only thing I will say is that you get advantage to intelligence saves as a rogue. And I cannot say definitively at this time when I made this video, but I suspect some of the rogue subclasses may use intelligence. So you might want to, for example, take some points out of wisdom in this case and maybe put them here into intelligence. And I would probably even do that. So I would go 10 for strength, because strength is an ability you don't really need. It makes your damage a little bit higher, but in this case it was only 12 our strength, so that was only a +1 to damage. And when you've got sneak attack, it's not as important to get that +1. The dex is definitely what we want. A little bit of constitution to help increase our health. Some intelligence so that we are high enough to be able to use what may be further on down the line for us as a rogue. A little bit of wisdom to help with our save throws, and no real bonus in charisma, but we get some of that bonus from just being a halfling. And then finally, we can pick the skills that we want to use. And we have 4 skills that we can pick. We automatically get given proficiency with sleight of hand and stealth from our choice of Urchin. I think that the other 4 options that this is automatically done are fine, but I would change performance into perception and maybe remove acrobatics and put it into investigation or insight. And I think for this one I'd go investigation. But that's just me. Any of those choices are fairly good. I don't think performance is all that useful for a rogue. If you were playing a bard, yes. But the rest of these will do you well as the principal character in this game. And apart from appearance, that's it. We've done everything for this build. So, some notes on playing a rogue. As I said earlier, you're not going to be in the front line because you don't have the armor or the hit points for it. But with your sneak attack, you can do a lot of damage. So my recommendation is Probably start with your bow in your hand most of the time. So switch your weapons to bow after the end of every combat and make sure it's your primary weapon so that you can start combat with the bow and do damage from a distance. And then sneak, hide. Even in battle, you can, even in battle, you can activate stealth. Do that, charge forward and attack, and maybe consider two-weapon fighting. It's entirely up to you. It does decrease your ability to hit a little bit because you're having to coordinate using both hands, but that extra attack can work well to give you extra damage. So consider that an option. Yeah, and have fun with it. Rogues are one of my early delights playing role-playing games. I liked playing rogues. They were fun to play around with, even if you were playing as a good rogue rather than, a greedy thief. So yeah, have fun. Leave any comments down below on this build, and I will try and get a full build video of the various rogue types that you might be able to build later. I don't have the ability to do that just yet, but once I do, I will be posting those videos, so keep an eye out for those. So I hope you enjoyed this build video, this tutorial video. If you did, leave comments down below, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.